Hello and welcome back. We are at the 2021 Work BC Job Fair, where we have the privilege of interviewing many outstanding local employers. I'm happy to introduce to you our next guest for this upcoming interview, who is one of those great employers. Today, I have Mehra and Tori Clark with me from the Universal Group, who have generously given their time today to answer some of my questions. They are the Human Resource Generalist and Talent Acquisition and Retention Specialists with the Universal Group. We're happy to have them here today. So welcome, Rob and Tori.
Thank you very much.
So I thought I'd just ask a few questions to help our clients and job seekers know a little bit more about what they can expect with applying for and working for the Universal Group. But first, I thought I'd ask a little bit about how you entered into your position or how you worked up into your position. Maybe I'll ask each of you. Rob, how did you get started with the company?
The way I got started with the company is I had previous human resources experience from other organizations, both in not-for-profit, for-profit, and governmental organizations, doing a variety of different HR initiatives and practices and whatnot. I've got over 12 years of experience, and I wanted to move to British Columbia, and the Okanagan really appealed to me. And long story short, I got the job with the Universal Group to be a human resources generalist and talent acquisition and retention specialist. I've been with the Universal Group since June of last year. It's been a great experience. It is an organization that really cares about you, and they want to see you grow and develop and to continue to they hold you accountable, but they want to see you achieve, and they support you in helping you to achieve with the organization. So it's been a great experience, and I look forward to continuing to add value to the Universal Group.
Great, thanks for sharing that. And what about you, Tori?
For me, somewhat similar to Rob. So I was in Calgary before. I worked for a recruitment firm doing various things. Obviously, COVID happened, which turned a lot of people's worlds upside down. So I moved out to the island, applied on Indeed, like a lot of people do. Started here in July of last year. Same as Rob, really enjoying things. I think it's a great company to work for.
Excellent, thank you. So you both started, in a higher up role in the human resources department. But from the little bit you mentioned even before this talk, it sounds like there's a bit of room to grow in the company and different opportunities. So I'm excited to hear about those. What kind of positions are you mostly hiring for at this time?
So for right now, what we are hiring for, the main part is TCPs, which is traffic control persons. We are also hiring for LCTs, which is kind of the step up, lane closure technicians. They're the main two. Obviously, other opportunities arise as per business needs, but they're the main two right now.
Okay. Can you describe a little bit about that role, the traffic control person role, and what that involves?
Yeah, so as a traffic control person, what you're going to be responsible for doing is you're going to be using a stop and a slow sign to direct traffic in and out of construction zones, both in city and in highway. Now, you're going to, as a traffic control person, the candidate would start off doing city work first and then slowly transition into doing highway work. It does involve also assisting the lane control technician, which is that higher level role Tori was mentioning, in setting up signs, setting up cones, and closing off lanes as well, using cones and whatnot. It does involve standing for significant periods of time. It does involve working in various different types of weather conditions. So having a good pair of steel toe boots and just dressing appropriately for the weather is key. It does also involve promoting good public relations to motorists that are proceeding through the construction zone and to site personnel that are also working within the construction zone. So we don't look at individuals that just have strictly a labor background or just have worked in just labor-intensive roles. We look at individuals that actually have some good customer service and public relations skills as well. And that's essentially what the role involves, and what the individual is going to be required to do. So that's what the TCP role involves in a nutshell there. Tori, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think you covered things pretty well, Rob. The only kind of necessity for sure is you need to have your BCCSA traffic control ticket. Once you have it, it's a 2-day course that you take. The first day,
What does that stand for? The BC?
BCCSA, so it's the British Columbia Construction Association, right? So it's a government organization, it just kind of regulates things. So there's various different places you can get the certification. Of course, I can help anyone obtain that. We do run our own classes as well. So it's a 2-day course. The first day you're learning, the second day you do a quick test, and then you go out on the road. Once you get your certification, it lasts for 3 years, then you just have to do a 1-day to recertify. So it lasts for a very long time, right?
So would you consider hiring somebody then that didn't have that certification at this time?
Yeah, so this is a pretty common thing. Most people here on the island either have been in it or haven't had the opportunity yet. So more than happy to chat with anyone who is interested. I can help them get into classes and we can arrange everything together.
Okay, and would the person have to pay for that course themselves then?
Yes, for the most part they would. The cost is around 275, but once they come on board with us, we do have a signing bonus right now. So once they complete 15 out of the first 30 days, we'll give you $200, and then once you complete 40 out of the first 60 days, we'll give you another 200. So you get the cost of the course back and some money on top.
Okay, great. Well, and just going back to what Rob was saying and describing about the position, it made me think, this is a great position probably for somebody who loves working outdoors,
Hmm.
and who doesn't want to be sitting at a desk or in a, office setting. It sounds like a really good fit for somebody who wants a sort of different environment out there. Um, what what kind of personality and what kind of traits are you looking for in a person? What is going to be a good fit for that position?
I would say the person who's going to be a good fit for this position is someone who is pretty task oriented. Like they're able to follow processes and tasks, when they're on the job or in the construction zone, being the proper setup of signs, proper setup of cones, proper positioning, things like that. So we're looking for someone who has that task focused, but also looking for someone who is able to work well in a team environment as well as working well individually. And as you had mentioned, yes, someone who enjoys working in the outdoors, loves being outdoors, is involved in outdoor activities, and therefore would love working in the outdoors is also a good trait to have for this particular position.
So it sounds like then there's guidelines with what you are doing on the job site. You're given clear direction on what you're responsible for and what.
Absolutely, and we do try to equip our. We feel we go put in the extra effort in equipping our TCP employees with the knowledge that they need. Prior to actually working a shift, they are completing online training, which goes over traffic safety orientation, and teaching them in an online format the particulars of the role and how to stay safe on the job. In addition to that, after they completed all of our online training and onboarding, we do have what's called the Universal Mentorship Program, or UMP as we call it. And they're going to be paired with someone experienced who's going to actually give them the on-the-job training as a TCP. And so that we're not just going to throw the individual into the role, we're going to actually support them gradually in various steps so that they're proficient in being able to do the role.
Right. So it sounds like a good opportunity for someone who maybe wants to get into a different line of work, and who doesn't necessarily know the job already, that you're going to
Mhm.
help them to learn and to be able to move into a new career path.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so did you want to talk any more about, did we kind of cover the training that you provide, or was there anything else you wanted to mention about that?
I would just add that on top of what Rob said, the training is 3 days worth. So on their first day, it runs for 3 days. They still get paid at full rate. It's not a deducted rate or deducted time. It's still full rate and everything like that. And they work with different mentors typically each day to kind of get a more well-rounded experience. Each individual is different. We understand that if someone feels that they're not quite comfortable or whatever, everything can be arranged for them to have more or less or whatever works, right?
Great, great. And how many hours a week are these positions? Are you hiring part-time, full-time? How does that work?
We are looking for part-time and full-time, but like part-time, we do ask for a minimum of 3 weekday shifts per week. And for full-time, yeah, it's pretty much 40 hours a week. We do also offer the potential for overtime and the potential to work on weekends as well. And in terms of working on the weekends, we would pay the overtime as per our collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, great. And are these positions open now and starting soon then?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're open right now. Honestly, it's an ongoing need. We are in busy season. That's going to run all the way through the fall. Of course, it's construction. Things, to be honest, can slow down a little bit in the winter, but with the amount of work we have, these guys are continuously working.
Great. And did you want to mention anything about the pay or the benefits?
Sure. So what we pay for a traffic control person as soon as they start, right now they're at about 18 some an hour. So with your 10% vacation pay, you're about 20 10 an hour. Of course, with an LCT and other rates, you go up from there. On the western side, which is one of the companies we own, we have opportunities for them to work on City of Victoria and Saanich jobs. We have those contracts, so on those they have the opportunity to make 27 28 an hour.
Okay, and so somebody could potentially live in the Nine van and make their way to Victoria for those positions?
Yeah, so it's done. So we both companies are unionized, right? So it's done in their collective agreement up to a certain point, but there are opportunities where people get asked to come down and if they drive, right? Or if you're an LCT, then you will be given a company truck and a gas card, so it makes traveling a lot nicer. So there are opportunities on that side. Come down and work those jobs.
Okay, great. And is it possible then to move from the TCP to the LCP role? Like, how long would it take to move into that as a
Every individual is different. We used to have it at a set amount of hours, but the way I phrase it is as hard as you work and as hard as you pick it up, the quicker you're going to move up. There's no limit on X amount of LCTs. Like, we're constantly wanting to bump people up, so your opportunities don't get shied away because other people are in the position. It's just as hard as you work and as hard as you get it, right?
What I typically do as well is like, it's essentially if you are, I tell candidates, if you're showing up on time for your shifts, you're showing up for your scheduled shifts, our clients are really happy with you. They're asking for you by name for you to come onto the site. If you're doing all of those things and you've accumulated a good amount of hours and you're showing a good understanding of the TCP role, then we would identify you and consider you as an LCT candidate and put you back in the YUM program for that particular role. And again, going through the on the job training so that you have that that on the job training as well, and you know how to do that role proficiently. While you're training on that job for the LCT role, you are actually getting that higher LCT rate as well. We do ensure that you get that higher LCT rate.
Okay, great. Thank you. You already mentioned quite a few things that you would be looking for in an individual. You talked about the ability to follow tasks and ability to stand for long periods and showing up on time. And you mentioned some of those things. What else are you looking for in an ideal candidate?
I would say someone who is hardworking, is driven, um, who can communicate well with obviously members of the public, with the contractor, and just get on with teammates, because it's not every day you're working with the same person. Like, this job is quite exciting because you're shuffling around, you're working with different people every day, you're meeting lots of new people. So communication is key, because of course you are in some cases working in a high pressure environment, and you need to be on and watching and able to communicate.
Right. Okay. And how would somebody know if they're doing well in this position? How do you measure success, or how would a person know if they need to improve, or how does that work?
So
So
health, you
go
go,
ahead.
Rob.
Okay, sorry. Basically, what we do is we actually have an OH&S department that actually does regular audits, and that's another area of support that we provide to our employees to ensure the safety of our employees on site. So they actually go on to site to ensure processes, procedures are being followed.